Ah, there we are. Hello, 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 everyone. How are y'all doing this evening? I hope you've had a good evening. How's your day been? I'm well. Hey, nerd storyteller, so good to see you. Yeah. Okay. Oh, hey, Adrienne, how are you doing? No, it's quite all right. I'm so glad to have you here. I understand. You're European, so I'm sure it's quite late for you, but I'm so glad you were able to stop by today. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Now, I'm just gonna make sure I have everything pulled up. So, I'm just opening up all of the books. Y'all won't be able to see them because I don't want to get like copyright stricken. But I do have all of the Scion books, second edition books. But I'm doing well. I hope you have a good sleep, Adrian. Really. That would be. You know, I was gonna open these before I started streaming, and then I just didn't. But no. I had work today. It was pretty slow, but I did get to actually. Oh, before I forget, actually, I have the power to do this now. Let me head over here. Yeah, please check them out. They're a person that I've seen in streams before, and I've chatted with them on Bluesky. They're really cool, and they're very chill. So if you like spooky vibes and everything, I would highly, highly recommend checking them out. They're a vampire, which is pretty cool. As someone who enjoys vampires, just like thematically, you know? So... But let me see here. Oh my god, I have so many TTRPGs. Okay, here we are. So Origin and then Hero, and then I just got yeah, and also Demigod. Okay. So Scion is, for those who don't know, Scion is a property that is owned by Onyx Path Publishing, and if you don't know who Onyx Path Publishing is, they're the people who did a lot of the 20th anniversary edition of Vampire the Masquerade. So, if you know, they did VTM, all the World of Darkness 20th anniversary editions. When they were allowed to continue working on Chronicles, I think they purchased Scion from Paradox. So they have Scion is completely owned by them. And the cool thing about Scion, before we begin actually, because this is relevant to what I was about to say, this game series talks about real religions, and that's not like a bad thing at all. But I do want to like come out here and say like, hey, some people do still worship some of these gods that we're going to talk about. But for the purposes of what I'm talking about, we're going to be treating them as purely stories. Though I know, for example, I believe, actually it might be in Origin that it has, like, yeah, so it has the, like the Norse gods, the Greco-Roman gods, Egyptian, there are some of the Kami, like there are lots of gods that are mentioned here, and some of them are worshipped actively. But in this context, we're only going to be talking about them in the context of the TTRPG. So I want to make that clear. Some of these actual, like, some of these religions that are in this game are currently actively worshipped. Like, I know some people who worship, like, the Greek gods currently from, like, Greek mythology. I consider it mythology. Obviously, they worship them. So, I do want to be clear, if that would make you uncomfortable, if you actively worship any gods that might be considered by some people quote-unquote pagan, you might not want to hang around for this one. But if you I kind of grew up, I was a Percy Jackson kid. I really enjoyed like reading about like the Rick Riordan series. I think I read all of Percy Jackson and I read all of Percy Jackson, and then I dabbled in some of the other books. So just letting you know, this will include some stuff that is similar to that. Not exactly, but yeah. So Scion 2nd edition is the most recent edition of the Scion TTRPG. Scion was a TTRPG that was originally made by White Wolf Games, and then the rights have been since been transferred to Onyx Path Publishing. I think Onyx Path has done a pretty good job with Scion so far. I recently actually read God, which is the most recent book, or core book. It's the last of the core books for 2nd edition. And kind of the what's it called? English is my first language, I swear. So the core like pitch for Scion, right? The elevator pitch is you're like a descendant of a god, or you're a and the gods we're speaking of course, like mythological gods, quote unquote, like Greek, Roman, Egyptian. I think they even bring like Mayan and Aztec, like Mesoamerican gods into it. So yeah. But you're either descendant, or there are a couple other origins to make you a Scion, but the most important thing is that you have a connection to a god as a mortal, and then something will happen one day. I would rule it personally as like maybe once you're old enough, once you're over 18, you learn that you're connected to a god and you have this demigod, right? And so how the entire TTRPG is set up, the core rules, you really find most of them in, I believe, Origin, and then also in Hero. But it's mostly the core rules are in Origin, because that's like the very basic rules for like mortals, because in Origin, Scion Origin, which is the first core book, you are just like a normal person. This is like before you realized what you were, like that you had this connection to a god. But despite that, there are some like quirks to you that other people just might not notice. And like, for example, like maybe like you can, whenever you're near certain people, you can like smell a specific scent or something like that. Or maybe there are just always crows around you or something, depending on what god you're associated with and what the imagery for them is. So that is like the basics of Scion 2nd edition book 1 Origin. Then we move into Scion 2nd edition book 2, or like the second core book, which is called Scion Hero. This is what happens after you realize that you're a Scion, which is the term. You're a Scion of a god. You're a descendant of them. And once you've realized that, you awaken to your divinely descended powers. And what will happen is fate will start to mess with you. And by fate, I do very literally mean fate is a very real force in this TTRPG and like has mechanics. And so, for example, there's this, we'll talk about this more later on with like God and Demigod, which are the next two steps up, Demigod then God. But in Hero, you're just kind of establishing your hero's journey, right? What's going on with you? What do you represent, right? And I ran this game, I think about 2-ish years ago, maybe now, or maybe 1.5. I ran it for, I overbooked myself. One thing I learned as a TTRPG GM, don't overbook yourself. Just don't do it. Don't try to run for 12 players in a text format when you realize you don't have the time for that. That's Don't do that. Don't do that. I learned personally. Don't overcommit. Well, let me be a bit more specific. If your players are more sporadic in the text-based format, then it's might be okay. And by text-based, I want to be clear. I don't mean like I play by post in a traditional sense. I mean like, as in you schedule them for a set session. If you have a lot of really active players, that's great. That means they're invested in your game, and that's wonderful. Maybe don't don't have like 10 active players that are very active, and you're the only GM. Or I think it's Story Guide, because I think this uses the Story Path system, which is Onyx Path Publishing's unique system. Yeah. So, but moving on, I got a little sidetracked. I got a little distracted. So moving on from hero, which is when you're starting to realize your godly powers. You get these all your powers, at least in the hero level, are called knacks, and they're kind of associated with like the different purviews, which we'll get into what purviews are later. But they're associated with the different purviews of your god. A purview, I guess I can just say it now. For example, if someone, like, you would think they're like a god of healings, like, let's say like Hades might be a good example. Actually, if I look at Hades, because in the book I can tell you exactly what his purviews are. Yeah, it's the story path system it uses. And where are the... Okay, hold on. I'm looking for it in the book. I was just there. Here we are, the Pantheons. The Greco-Roman. Okay. So, then we have Hades, which I believe is one of them. If Hades isn't here... No. Okay, Hades. Okay, here we are. Okay, so it's split up between callings and purview. I think at the hero level, you have access to the callings, which I believe determine your knacks. And then the purviews, which are like the more supernatural powers that you have. They have to spend your legend on, which legend is a resource that like determines kind of how famous you are, if I recall correctly. It's been a while. But for example, Hades, the god of the underworld in the Greco-Roman mythologies, has the callings of judge, leader, and liminal, and the purviews, which is darkness, death, earth, and prosperity. Obviously death is the big one for him, but again, so, and there are like many pantheons, but Hades was just a good example for this. But then after you get to hero and you kind of level up and people start talking about you more, and you get more and more powerful because people know you more, and then you do more epic deeds and so on, and it's kind of like a cycle in hero. Eventually you kind of have to make a decision. I believe, yeah, the first edition did start with a storyteller system. The system's similar, it's just Onyx Path's variety of the storyteller system. So I can just really quick, it's called the story path system. It's still a D10 dice pools, and you're just going against a set target number, which I'm double checking what the target number is. Yeah, usually 7 or 8. So it's very similar if you've played Exalted 3rd Edition, where you're always looking for a 7. It's very similar to that. There are a couple where you have 8s, and then all 10s are counted as a success and rolled again. And obviously there's like this whole other system of like you get enhancements and other stuff. So it's the story path system, which is Onyx Path's brand of the storyteller system. It's very similar. Obviously there are some differences, but it's pretty much the same. Like if you played a White Wolf game, you can get used to Scion 2nd edition very quickly. Like, you still have your dots on your sheets. You're still, making dice rolls from the dots and rolling them to hit DC 7 as standard now. So it's not that different, except you don't need a specialty to get a reroll 10. Does that make sense? Was I clear enough for that? Yeah, it makes sense to you? Okay, that's good. So yeah, that's just the core mechanic. It's still a D10 dice pool, just DC 7 is base, and then occasionally you might need to do DC 8. But once you kind of get enough legend and your legend starts building and you get more popular and fate starts fucking with you more, eventually you kind of get to this decision point, which kind of breaks the characters into, like, while there are 4 tiers of power, you can't get to the top 2 tiers without making the decision that, yes, I want to try and become a god. Like, that's the big thing about demigod. It really, really stresses that if you try to become a demigod or you get to that power level, you're committing to becoming a god, because you either become a god in Scion, the 3rd core book, demigod, or you die trying. Like, that's the level Scion 2nd edition is working at. And then obviously we move on to demigod, which is it's a very neat system. I think it's a very fun play space. But the very big thing about demigod, and it's also touched again in Scion God, which I have a preview of. I think you can purchase it on Drive-Thru RPG, Scion 2nd edition God, which is the most recent book that I read through recently. But it's still in preview. You still have some page XXs, but it's all in layout. They just need to fix some of the missing page numbers. And there might be some, like, I didn't see any typos, but it might be there. Hold on. I'm going through something because I want to make sure I have this correct. Yeah, okay, so apotheosis is like the process of becoming a god, which is all what demigod is. And the apotheosis, the first couple steps can happen in any order, but it's the last step that always happens last at the end of demigodhood, at the beginning of godhood in the context of this game. So before you become a god, you must successfully navigate apotheosis. Whether you step into the mantle of a demigod who fails to achieve apotheosis before her, or you forcibly unseat your divine parent and manifest that mantle for herself, or so on. So, like, and that's all from Scion God, page 43, that little paragraph I just read. So, the steps of apotheosis, which none of them have to be in order except for the last one that I'm going to talk about. So I'm talking about them in an order that the book presents them in, but this is not the absolute order except for the last one that I talk about. So the first part of apotheosis that I'm going to speak of is called the second call. So the first calling is when you realize that you have a divine parentage and that you can do these heroic things and epic things, right? But in 2nd edition, obviously, I don't know why I said that in 2nd edition, but the second call, when you're trying to go through the process of apotheosis to become a god, is literally you start with the second call where you reenact a challenge of your life post the visitation, which is when you finally, like, speak to the god straight up, which is actually a really cool moment, especially if you're like an orphan character, because your parent just kind of shows up and is like, hey, yo, you're actually a demigod, you're my kid. But demigod in, like, the traditional sense, where you're just the child of a god. Not that you have superpowers, but you get powers through the visitation. So hey, I mean, it works, right? But that's the hero stage. And then the apotheosis, so you get kind of like reenact like a early challenge of your time during being a Scion, where you basically get to fight the thing again, except it's like bigger and more powerful, but you're following the same steps, right? Because it's all about fate and how fate kind of does, and how stories will sometimes like repeat themselves, and it's that. And so the lesson of that stage is to let them reflect on their progress so far and to announce to fate that they're ready to pursue apotheosis, right? Again, that does not have to be the first step. Oh no, it does have to be the first step. I'm a dumbass. Sorry, the first and last steps are locked. The other three are hit or miss. I can read, guys, I swear. So the second call does have to be first. But then the next three can be in any order. I know English, guys. But then, okay, so then in no particular order, here are the next three steps, which can be in any order. So then let's say example, the threshold is where the demigod explores her connection to her callings to solidify her identification with them. And that's usually like one of the less dangerous stages. That kind of emphasizes on playfulness. It lets you change your callings and just figure out who you are gonna be as a god. Because being a mortal is different, right? Like, you know what being a mortal like. I knew what being a mortal was like because before I became undead. So, I mean, most people who have been mortals or are mortals can just really know what's up. But there's difference between having even like a heroic mortal who is like experienced so much, but then also like has powers. Like, you're still connected to your humanity, right? You still have those ties to those people, right? But when you become a god, that becomes so much more complicated because you're dealing with so much more power and people are literally worshiping you. Like, it's crazy. So I think the threshold is a very like important step in the way that lets you kind of solidify who you're going to be as a god. One moment. Another step of the three you can choose is the descent, which is where you start to shed your strongest associations with the mortal world. This could be like a journey to an underworld, but it could also be like the loss of a loved one, or isolation, or like death, or betrayal even. It just basically means that a god must make sacrifices as well as accept them. That's like the point, right? Then you have the parting, which is another one of the three steps that can go in any order, but it is the last of the three steps. Or, sorry, English is hard. It is the last of the group of three steps that can go in any order. English. The parting, which kind of is where you discover what fate finding, like how fate traps gods, and you glimpse what restrictions the divine have into the mortal realm. The very act of worship itself can tell a lot about who your character is, I would imagine. How do you treat your followers? Do you even want them? Yeah, exactly, right? And here's actually a really interesting thing about Scion when you get to the god level, which is the highest power tier that Scion lets you play. You need that worship. Like, you actively need to be worshipped. And another thing about the setting, which is called the world, it's the setting of Scion's second edition is called the world. And a weird thing about the world is that literally all mythology is real simultaneously. Yes, the world was simultaneously, uh, let me think about some of the mythologies I know. Yeah, the Titans were there, as in, not, okay, so Scion has a group of people they call Titans, but like in Greek mythology, the Titans were there. But the world was also like on the back of a giant turtle, right? Like all those things are true simultaneously, and the world will just retcon itself, which is how they make all the gods being real work. It's confusing, but I think it's kind of neat. They just say, but do people worship them? Yes, then canon, which is neat. I also like that the universe will retcon itself. Which is really, I guess it's good also for GM fiat. If something goes bad, just like, nah, the universe retconned that. Or if like something, yeah. You know, if you're a coward. But yeah, the very act of being worshipped is something that I think will really be good about exploring your character. Like, the other thing about do you even want followers? Even if you don't want followers, you're gonna get them. That's just the very nature of becoming a god if you decide to go through that path. Right? Because in the world, which is the name of the setting, which is not gonna get confusing in the future, I swear. But in the world, like, because you literally need your followers to be a god, and you need your legend to spread, even if you're uncomfortable with it, like, how would that make your character feel, right? It's a lot of ideas that you can play with. But the parting, you basically end up developing a powerful fate bond with a mortal or a lesser mythic being that lasts beyond even death. Then when the bond is severed, the lesson of parting is that all mortal connections are compared to the eternity of the gods' fleeting ones. Again, all of this comes from Scion God, page 43. I'm just kind of recapping here because I think it talks about apotheosis very well. And it kind of recaps it in a really neat thing. And the final part is the very last step that has to be the last step. It's called the Theophany. It's Greek. It's all Greek to me. But in which the demigod gathers all her resources and talents to face one myth-defining challenge. If she succeeds, she achieves apotheosis and becomes a god. If she fails, she dies and her unfinished mantle goes free until some other demigod takes it up to go again. This isn't a lesson, this is the final exam. No matter what route a character takes through the other stages, the theophany is always last. If they succeed in this stage, they reach a legend score of 9 and a form of immortality. Like, straight up, like I said before, if you decide to try and become a god, you're gonna become a god or die trying. Like, that's how serious they take becoming a god. Which I think is actually really cool. Because if characters are okay, right? Like, that actually makes characters reckon with the fact of, like, do I want to be a god? Like, do I want to live past all my friends and family? Do I want to live longer than them? Am I okay with that? Like, even my peers, right? Like, let's say you're in a group of characters called, I think it's called a band in this system. So, like, even in your band, right? Like, let's say you want to become a god, but what happens if not everyone's with you? Right? Or what happens if you all decide to become gods together and some characters die? Like, what does that mean for your character, right? Like, those are some very cool questions to play with, right? Like, the questions this TTRPG makes you ask is one of my favorite things about it, right? Like, it makes me ask, like, as a character and as a player, you know, like, what does it mean to become a god? What does it mean to be a child of a god, or to have been created by a god, or whatever your origin is, right? Because there are actual origins where you were directly created by the god, or where you're a child of the god, or... Actually, let me double check the origins listed in Origin, because I think this will give you, like, an idea of, like, where these characters come from. One moment. I'm trying to find where it says it, because I think, yeah, okay, so character creation. Here's how it works. I think going through character creation will, oh, here we are, origin paths. Here's what we need. So I think the inherent tragedy is part of what's cool. If you're very, very lucky, you can watch all the people you care about grow old and die, only to have that happen again. Exactly, nerd. It's such a like, especially because it pulls on like our mythic storytelling and mythic pasts. You, especially being able to play through that, but in the modern era, like this is set during modern times, but it's usually like a much happier place because the gods are trying to help people out, man. But so the origins, I think, are like the backgrounds of your character, which I think are interesting. Like some of them sound pretty normal, right? Like, oh, you were an adventurer. Oh, you were a chosen one, or a god literally made you, or you grew up with a life of privilege. You're a military brat. You this next origin I'm gonna have to talk a bit more about. So it's called the Potmitkin world. Basically, you let me see here. I'm just making sure. Yeah, it's basically you were okay, so the world in this has like kind of pocket realms, which are like connected to the world through these gates that you can find. And basically the Potmitkin world is a gateway connection to the world, but you were kind of grew up in a different world from everyone else to kind of prepare you to be a Scion. Another background is like, oh, you were a child of the streets, you were suburbalist, you were a survivalist. You were in a lost land, which is another one of those. It's just that it lost its connection to the world and it's kind of hard to get to. But you get the idea, right? Like your origin is like where you come from, right? And each of these that I've talked about, each of the origins, give you different connections and different skills. The connections, if you've played V5 or any of the Onyx Path Publishing other ones, they're kind of like touchstones. Not exactly, but they're kind of like touchstones. They're just people you know. It kind of connects you to the world. It gives you NPCs that you can, as a storyteller, rope into your plots, right? Like, for example, let's say you're an adventurer. One of the connections is like a bomb disposal expert. Okay, well, why does your character, you sure you were adventurous, but why do you know a bomb disposal expert? What's their deal, right? It immediately gets you a connection to the world. And that's just the origin. That's just your background. Like maybe your one of your parents was a bomb disposal expert. That could be really cool, you know. Or we go down to so there are two different like paths. This is why it's called the story path system. If you've played, I want to say, I think one of the BattleTech TTRPGs did this, where there are different paths you can choose and they give you different things. So for example, you have your origin role, which is like where you come from, and then your role path, which is like what role you play in a group, which I think is pretty cool. Obviously we have like medical practitioners, combat specialists, charismatic leaders. You'd be a pilot, a sneak, you know, whatever. There are a lot of options, and I think it's really cool. So one second. I just think it's cool, right, that you get to try out these things and make different characters and explore like what it means to be a demigod and what it means to be a god. Tone wise, I will say Scion generally is more lighthearted. That doesn't mean you can't play it very dark and gritty, but I think tone-wise, it's pretty dark. Has anyone actually played Scion 2E before? I know, nerd, I was gonna run for you, but I overbooked myself, and that is my own fault. I was really excited for your Phobos girl, but I was very much so busy, you know. I overbooked and I overcommitted, and that's my own fault. Uh, but there are so many fun things you can do, and also, one of the other things I really like about this is that they are very okay. Onyx Path Publishing is very okay with you homebrewing stuff, and like they even tell you how you can, like, if there's a pantheon that you know of but isn't represented in the books, you can kind of, it shows you how to make them, which I think is wonderful. Like how to make your own pantheons so you can include any religion that you think would be cool to be like demigods of, which I think is really cool, or the children of, or whatever your origin is, right? But I just think that's really neat, you know, that you can have your different origins and you can come from different things, but then you come together as a team, even from different pantheons. The thing also doesn't, one thing I do want to be clear on is, even though, you know, I talked about there being like Greek and Norse and other gods that are, you know, real in this setting, I also want to talk about how, in this setting, like, there are also inter-pantheon relationships. These gods can all talk to each other, and there are, like, certain rivalries between the pantheons, and, like, oh, well, this god doesn't like this god because XYZ, you know? And a lot of gods also, like, a lot of gods in this setting, a lot of the gods are, obviously they have human elements, but they are also, like, how do I want to explain it? They have interactions with each other. They're kind of, imagine looking at the world in its entirety, and like you have all the power of a god, and but there are also other gods from other places that have their people and worshiping them, obviously. And it's really interesting because, especially in this setting, you know, even in what is the equivalent of America, I think they just outright say it's America. Even in this world's version of America, right? You could have like a, you could have a like Shinto shrine next to like a Buddhist temple or whatever. I think it's called temple. I'm not a Buddhist, but it is very interesting, like the idea. And the other part of, I'm kind of going back and forth with this, but I really do think this is interesting, is that another part of being a god in the system is that another part of being, of like the system is that, like, as a god, because you can play as a god. Once you become a god, you're not stopped playing. There's a whole rule book for playing as a god. Obviously, you can choose to let your god become a storyteller character if you want to, but the whole god book just recently came out, so you can keep playing as a god. But once you are a god, I think something that's really neat about it is that you can have these basically parts of your essence that kind of walk around the world and experience being immortal. And the book talks about in Scion God, Scion 2nd edition God, the book really talks about how it wants you to, excuse me, the book really wants you to consider that, you know, these beings that you're kind of imbuing with your essence or are being born with your essence, you can choose, if they have all your memories and experiences, and know from the beginning, hey, you know, I'm a version of this god, but I'm just living as a mortal life, and I'm just trying to influence things how I can. But there are some gods that actively think, no, I should not make these versions of myself that I've sent into the mortal world know that they're part god, right? And I think that dichotomy between the gods who are like, no, I want my person to know all my experiences and to understand what part they play in my plans, versus, no, they're mortals, let them have a mortal life. And the other thing is, they can't really have a calling, these characters, right? These they can be NPCs, but there is a form of play where you can incorporate them as like side stories in the main session. And like that could even be a very interesting character to play. like as an origin level character. Like, what does it mean to be a person who's grown up their whole life having the experiences of this god, like this literal god, and knowing you're just basically supposed to play a part in their grand scheme? Like, what would that do to a person? You know, and these are kind of really interesting role play questions in TTRPG. But then you have, like, the other side of it where it's like, well, I didn't know I was supposed to do something for you. I was just another person. And these characters don't typically, like, ever... Like, they die. They don't usually become heroes. Like, I think there's, like, a whole separate process for them. Like, they're just supposed to experience mortal life as the best they can. And that's both really tragic. Is there room in the world for atheism? There's a huge difference between knowing and having faith. It seems that lack of belief would be impossible in such a setting. So I think here's the difference. And here's something else that we're going to talk about in this setting. So there's not really room in this setting for atheism, because it is true and the gods do reach out to people actively. And there was a time where the gods, like, would actively come into the world, right? But they kind of stopped doing that because it fucked things up too much. And a part of, okay, so fate, like I said, is a very real thing. And if a god just shows up in the world and does something, that might affect how their followers see them and thus change them fundamentally. Like, that's why the gods don't usually, at least in this setting, actively show up as themselves and do a divine beatdown, right? Like, that's not something that usually happens. Like, that's something to think about. And also, let's talk about this. So every pantheon... Okay, but what if someone doesn't believe they're gods? What if they think okay! Perfect! Okay, so here's a great thing about this. So you might believe that, right? You might really deep down believe, oh, these are just aliens, right? Whatever. As long as enough people believe it, there's now a pantheon of that. Where there are these just aliens trying to trick humanity now. Like, if enough people believe it, it becomes true. Like, that's how the setting works. And that becomes its own separate pantheon. Like, I like how flexible the setting is. Yeah, exactly. Actually, here's a great example of that. There's actually a book that was sent out by Onyx Path Publishing. I do not own this book, but I know it exists. I believe it's called, if I open up my drive-thru RPG, and I believe it's Scion 2nd edition. Come on. 1 second. I'm getting there. Hold on. Scion. Anyway, the point is, there's a book all about the Cthulhu mythos inside of Scion. Like, it's possible that you could have the Lovecraftian horror in Scion 2nd edition, right? And there's like room for that, because again, if enough people believe it, it becomes true. I don't know what all gods are represented, because I have not read the book, but I know it's an official book. I think it's called like Masks of the Mythos or something. But yeah, like, isn't that crazy? That if there's just straight up enough people that believe, oh, hey, this Lovecraft guy was onto something, it becomes true. And that's freaky. Because it's all about faith, right? So, like, you could have, like, okay, so, Scion God actually talks about how to fight, like, the only way to kill a god is as a god, I want to be clear, at least in this setting. The way it shows is that if you want to kill a god, you have to also be a god. but it's not really encouraged. So let's talk about that. So, obviously there are gods in the settings, but with every hero, there has to be kind of like a villain almost. So the counterpoint to gods is, as a whole, they're called titans, which I know are taken from they're taken from Greek mythology, the term titans. Greco-Roman myth, let's be fair. But the Greeks started it. But every single pantheon not only has their gods, but they have their titans. And there's this ongoing, never-ending war called the Titanomancy, which literally have the gods fighting against the titans, quote-unquote, or the evil gods, right? And there's even room in this setting for you to play a titanic scion, a scion of a titan, right? And that could bring, like, a whole thing, right? Like, do you want to be as destructive as your god, your divine parent? Like, is that something you want to do? Or are you willing to try and shake off what you used to be? What questions does that bring? Like, there's so much room for exploration in this setting. One second. I'm gonna mute myself. I'm gonna be no, hold on. I have a drink. But there's so much room for exploration in this setting, right? Like, the book in question, I believe, is called, like, Scion Titanomancy. Where is it? Yeah, Titanomancy. It's a source book. It's not one of the core books. It's a source book, and it literally lets you play Titanic Scions. Like, for example, let's talk about the Aesir, which are the Norse mythology, Nordic mythologies. So, for example, the Titanic Scion, or not Titanic Scion, the Titans for the Aesir are Jord, which I'm probably not pronouncing correctly, but Jord. There's Nidhogger. Again, I'm not pronouncing these correct. I'm so sorry. Excuse me. And Surtur. And Ymir. So, charismatic human with enough influence to essentially birth not just a god, but an entire pantheon. Would such beings need to go through apotheosis like a PC would, or would they just start as gods? No, they would need to go through apotheosis. But it is possible for you to create your whole new pantheon as a human. Or sorry, not as a human, but as a divinely created being. Usually, the process of becoming god, at least as outlined in the book, is kind of only available to people who have like have a connection to gods originally, or to a god, I should be specific, because this setting has many gods. But you know, there's Ymir, and this book, Scion Titanomancy, also kind of talks about like everything you need to know about the gods. Or the titans in questions. But it does straight up let you play Titanic Scions, and it gives you like Titanic or like quote unquote evil, but it's debatable if the Titans are evil. Some of them are, but they're considered antagonists overall though. Like the Titan callings are like adversary, destroyer, monster, primeval, tyrant. So you get the vibes, right? And each of these Titanic Scions have their own powers that are just crazy, right? And it lets you play these guys. Like, I mean, and again, I know they're on self-publishing, like, they do the White Wolf thing of like, well, we don't want you to play the bad guys, but here's all the rules if you wanna, because we don't make because this is up to you. But yeah, you know, and I'm just gonna go through and talk about, I think, all of the pantheons that are currently represented. I'm only gonna kind of talk to them briefly about by name and what they are, because they like when people make bad decisions. Yeah, they do. I would have no experience with making bad decisions, nerd. Do you have any experience with making bad decisions? Because I sure don't. But let me look here. This might not be all of them, but these are all of the pantheons that I have. So at least that I currently own. So there's the Norse gods, the Algonquian pantheon, the Greco-Roman pantheon, the Egyptian, the Kami, which are like Japanese gods, some Irish gods, which I actually saw a thread on Twitter like several years ago with people complaining that because that, anyway, it's a cultural discussion. Questionable inclusion is basically what they're saying about that. The Orisha, which is the Yoruba pantheon, which I'm not familiar with. There's the Deva, which are called the gods of South Asia. The Scion, which is the Chinese pantheon, and then the Tetlotl or the Aztec, and all of these are found in Origin. But in every book, they add more pantheons. So, for example, in Scion Hero, actually, no, I think they have the same ones in Scion Hero because these two were released together. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything new. But in Demigod, I know for a fact they added new pantheons, which I'm trying to get here. This also Scion Demigod also talks about the underworlds of the different pantheons, which is really interesting. Scrolling up. Where are we? Okay, yeah. Okay, so in Scion Demigod, they added what is this? The Mesopotamian gods, which they called the Anua, the Apu of the Inca, the Atua of Polynesia, the Tingri of Mongolia, and the Bogovi of the Slavic nation. And these are each religions. Like, they are, I think some of these are actively worshipped, so I'm not, I mean, I can't speak on their actual representation because I am not of these cultures, but they do exist. And they are they are gods that people can include in their stories if they so want. And they do, I think, do a decent job of at least overviewing the stories and giving you ideas of like what these gods are and what they're about. But again, I don't know enough about these cultures to really give you like a solid yes, they did a good job or no. But I've not seen a ton of complaints about it, so sure. Scion God, which is the most recent book, added, I'm getting here, yeah, so they added the Valhalla of the Vistayas. They added the Elam of Phoenicia. They added the Ka of the Mayans, so the Mayan myths. They added the Palas of Buddhism, which I'm sure Nerd will have opinions on. I believe you mentioned once that you at one point practiced Buddhism. I'm not sure if you still do. And then the Zimi of the Taino. So there's a lot of things. Like there's lots of gods. There's a god for you. And if there's not, you can homebrew it. That's what I'm saying. If you want to find a god that you want to vibe with, there are options. There are quite a few options. Okay, so I'm just trying to see. I think the player's guide. Did the player's guide also add any additional? Because I think the player's guide added some additional. Okay, so no. Okay, so it was the player's guide that allowed you to do Titanic Scions. Titanic was specifically for the add them as adversaries. Got it. Okay. Interesting. So yeah, I mean, like I said, there's a lot of options you have there. the idea that you can make your own pantheon that doesn't or never did exist is, yeah. Well, here's the thing, right? So the whole thing is you can either take on the mantle of your godly parent, like let's say you're a child of Hades, and you want to you have a couple of options, actually. If you're a child of Hades and want to like become a god, but you want to be Hades, you could like fight Hades, or like a weakened version of himself, to become either Hades himself, like you just become Hades, or you can become like a facet of him, if that makes sense. Like, you know how there are some gods that have like 3 different facets? It's kind of like that. Which I think is also neat, but you can also just start your own pantheon. And if you succeed, yeah, your religion has always existed now. It was just always a thing. And that's how it works. The world retcons itself. It's a little insane just how crazy, like, the fact that the world will retcon itself and it's fine. And, like, I think they did that just to make it all make sense. But I still cannot get over the fact that the world will retcon itself. But I'm going to take a quick break. I've been talking for about an hour. I'm going to be right back in just a few minutes. Thank you all so much for being here for the moment, and I will be right back. See you later, my little monsters. Hello. I'm back. Thank you so much for waiting patiently. I appreciate it. Okay, so I think we were talking about Scion God, and yeah, the idea that you can make your own pantheon is really cool. Yeah, but here's the thing, right? At least in the setting of the world of Scion 2nd Edition, even if it didn't exist, right? It now exists, right? Like, you could be the child of gods from all different pantheons. And if you all, as a group, decide, yeah, we get that we could be like a pre-existing pantheon, but fuck it, we're doing our own thing, it's so cool. And then I think another thing that Scion God kind of talks about that I think is very interesting is that gods also each individually have different perspectives on the Titanomancy, or the war against the Titans, right? Like, some of them think that, like, oh, you know, fighting the Titans is just a part of the universe, right? Like, we're always going to be fighting these things. There's no point, right? But there's also this, like, part that is like, oh, there's also this other group that's like, no, we have to fight them and we have to win this war now. And like those are usually war gods, but there are some other gods that are included in that group. But then there's another group that's just like, what's the third group? Hold on, I'm double checking, because it's like the red banner, I think is what they're called. And also the banners aren't like convention, it's just a faction that are like just little different groups of gods that kind of coexist, right? So you have like the red banner, which is the one where you're like, oh, you're fighting. Then you have like the green banner, who see the basically they see that, yeah, they're the ones who are coexistent. And then there's the blue banner, who are like more like diplomats and want to non-violently like rehabilitate the Titans. Obviously there are other things, but the different banners are not like actual organizations of gods. It's just loose groups of gods that think the same way through like small interconnected like connections, right? And there are obviously other individual like ideas about what happens with the Titans, right? And I think that's really neat, right? Like the idea that like even amongst the gods, right, they don't all agree, and there are different problems that can happen, and like all these different like debates that can really happen as a like during godhood. Like the debate about like, oh, what does it mean, you know, to fight, or like what, like should we even be fighting the Titans? Should we try to pacify them? But the other part of being a god is you're like a major player now in the Titanomancy. Like you're making these decisions of like, oh, how can my Scions fight these Titans, and what's the grand scheme? So I think it has like, at least at the god level, that intrigue and that plot that can happen in VTM, where it's like, oh, what is the prince doing, and like what's all of his schemes, right? And you kind of get that at the highest power level here with God. I mean, in like those planets in like stretch millennia, like of course because they're gods. But you get the idea. Also, for those who are enjoying this tabletop talk, why don't you consider following me? I'd really, really appreciate it. But it's just so cool. And then another cool thing that I want to bring up about this is the story path nexus. So for those of you who know any of the White Wolf games, we have the So we have the Storyteller's Vault. Now the Scion game has the Story Path Nexus, which is like the Onyx Path Publishing's version of the Storyteller's Vault. But like, one second. I'm gonna pull up some of the Scion individual books. I have not purchased them. I'm just gonna promote them. I'm just saying, hey, you know, these exist. Where are we? I'm just looking really quickly. Just some really quick here we are. Okay, so I opened up my thing and I just selected 3 random Storyteller Vault or not Storyteller's Vault, sorry, Story Path Nexus things, because for Scion you can make your own third-party content, much like you can for D&D or for a lot of the White Wolf games. Like, there's community-created content for Scion, and I own a few of them. But for example, here are 3 examples that I just picked randomly after looking at the Story Path Nexus for Scion 2nd Edition. So one of them is, it has a 5-star rating. It's called On Fable Street by TJ Wilson. It's an expansion to rules presented in Saints and Monsters, and it presents options for Origin and Hero level games, including character creation rules for pre-visitation, Titanic Scions, and Scion Denizens, new Origin and Roll Path, and expansion to the Edge and Edges. Okay, cool. Right? And it was made for the Story Path Nexus Game Jam 2024, so the community is active. right? Like, they're making game jams for developing StoryPath Nexus content, right? Like, and that's really cool to me. So let's talk about another one that recently released on the StoryPath Nexus, Corruption and Mutation by Matthias Luz. It opens options to novas that say their transcendence and transformations and decide to embrace them instead of remaining humans. It also establishes a system to play mutants, people transformed by quantum, but not turned into novas. Okay, that's cool. I'm not super familiar with what exactly it means by that, but it's neat. It's more options. And then, you know, there are a lot of other options. So the last one I did, like, for example, has, like, the deicide, or, like, the new gods, which is, like, another pantheon. Or, like, therianthropes. You could have werewolf gods or vampire gods. Like, there are things you can do that are very unique and can make your setting your own, which I really, really like. I actually think I own a few StoryPath Nexus books. Let me check to see which StoryPath Nexus books I own. Okay, so, yeah, so there was also, I don't know if this is still continuing, but there were some Scion Pride books, that were made for Pride Month, and that's really cool. I just think it's such a, Scion 2nd edition has not only such, like, a unique setting, but also, like, it's open to interpretation, and I think that's so neat. Like, I really do think it's neat that you can have this setting where all gods or quote unquote what we would call mythologies here are real and coexist and have interactions, and you're just a part of this whole crazy world. And I really think that's special, you know? I think it's special, especially as someone who really liked the Percy Jackson series as a kid. Like, I read that all the books of the original Percy Jackson series. And if you're, like, a Percy Jackson fan, I think this is one of the best... Excuse me. I think this is, like, one of the best TTRPGs for you. Because you get to live out the fantasy of being Percy Jackson or Annabeth or whatever. And you're not limited to just the Greek gods, right? You also have the option of being from pretty much any pantheon you can think of. Like, let's say, you know, you don't jam with the Greek gods, but you want to be a kid of Ra. You can do that. Or let's say you have some sort of cultural tie to another pantheon, or like you in real life as a player have a cultural connection to another pantheon, and you want to express that in your TTRPG. And I think Scion's so special because it allows you to express that, you know? And not only that, I think it allows you to explore these themes of godhood and being worshipped in, like, a safe environment, but also it's very thrilling, and you're taking part of this, like, epic storytelling, like, tradition, right? Sure, every TTRPG includes storytelling. That's, like, what TTRPGs do. But the fact that you can engage in, like, the very literal mythic storytelling of the gods, right? Like, that's something you don't really get now. Like, yeah, you can write fiction and stuff, but I think, especially in a TTRPG where you can kind of experience that through your character and make those decisions, it is so fascinating to me. That, or even you can make your own pantheon and, like, well, what if this god or these gods exist that you made up? How does that affect things? Like, I'm sure if you really wanted to, you could port some D&D gods into this game just fine and see what it would be like to be a Scion of Ilmater or something. You know? Like, that's crazy to me. It's so very crazy. Like, that you can just do that. And I think that's what's so special about TTRPGs, you know? Like, as a whole. Tabletop role-playing games bring people together to tell stories, and they don't have to be the most epic thing ever, but they can be. And, like, that's what's so good about TTRPGs, is that you get to experience those stories. Like, I know recently one of my the other streamers I follow, Captain Troy Handsome, which I'll go ahead and drop him a shout out, but he recently did a D&D stream where he was Captain Troy Handsome. He's not here, but I do want to shout him out because he did some cool stuff. Like, yeah. It's so neat that, like, you can just explore all of these different settings and all these different moods. And, like, even in White Wolf games, which I love White Wolf games, that because they're very dark, they're very moody. There's this something about them that I love, because I am, of course, a goth ghost girl. Um, yes, I know. Surprising, the goth girl likes the goth games. But it just does mean. Agreed. The stories you can tell can be grand or epic, small or personal, so long as there's some meaning, art, and expression, it's worth the merit. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm sure each one of you, right? Like, everyone watching has some experience in a TTRPG, or even, you know, let's just not even go outside the TTRPG space. Let's go out to, like, video games and movies, right? There's some story you've seen that's really affected you personally. And I think being able to engage with that is something that makes TTRPGs so special and important to me. And I'm bringing this up because, you know, D&D is such a big game in this. And, you know, I know people modify it to hell and back, right? Try to get any setting into it. But, you know, I think why I want to highlight these smaller, quote unquote, I know Scion 2 isn't small, but there are some other ones that are much smaller that I do want to cover. Because, like, there's so much more to TTRPGs than just a D20 system. I'm not a personal fan of the D20 system, but, like, I'm playing a Pathfinder game right now. Like, Pathfinder 1st edition. But, and I can enjoy it. Like, don't get me wrong, I like Pathfinder. I don't personally enjoy D&D. I like my crunch. What can I say? I like my crunchiness. But I also like the stories that we can tell. And that's really the important thing. It doesn't matter how enjoyable the crunch is if you can't enjoy yourself and enjoy the story you're telling, or that is being told through all of your collective actions at the table. And that's really what storytelling is to me, you know? Like, storytelling is this thing as a GM, not just as a player, but as a GM, I'm telling a story with my players, right? I have to react to what my players do. You know, I think there's this very common saying, you know, in the TTRPG space, where you're just kind of saying that, like, oh, you know, my players, right? My players are doing all these things, and then I don't expect what they're gonna do. And that's my favorite part. Nerd Storyteller said they've been playing Avatar for a few weeks. It's an interesting system that makes for highly detailed characters. Yeah, I believe it's a Powered by the Apocalypse game, right? Like Empowered by the Apocalypse is such a big system, right? Because it has so many different games that use that system. Obviously, I think it's a modified Powered by the Apocalypse system. But, like, I've ran a homemade Powered by the Apocalypse Persona game, and that was amazing. Like, you can really get into these characters, and I think, you know, there's so much space in TTRPGs, not only to explore your favorite worlds from, you know, whatever it is. Like, let's say you're really into Star Wars. There are several Star Wars TTRPGs. But you can also explore these original settings that are so very, very cool. Like, I kind of wrapping it back up into Scion, I think Scion is so very cool because it lets you live that fantasy that the Percy Jackson books gave you. But it expands it to where it can be almost any pantheon. Or, like, isn't that just so cool? Like, being able to just straight up be like, yeah, like, I'm gonna choose a random god from God. You like you can walk up to someone literally and be like, one second, I'm getting a god. Okay, yeah, I'm the scion of a Wheelish or a Wheelix. I'm sorry, I played Smite and it was the first god I saw, so I was told it was pronounced a Wheelish, but I'm gonna also call it a Wheelix in case that's incorrect. But, like, isn't that cool? That you can be like, walk up to someone and be like, yeah, I'm the child of Wheelish, or I'm the child of Ku Klux Klan, or I'm the child of let's see here, if I scroll down to a different pantheon, or I'm the scion of Tada, or Tada, who saves all. That looks Japanese, but I'm not sure if it is. But you get the point, right? Like, that's so cool that you can explore so many different gods or so many different things in Scion specifically, but in TTRPGs in general, right? Like, I know I've repeated myself a couple times, but I cannot get over genuinely how cool tabletop role-playing games are as a whole. Like the fact that you can explore these worlds that you've never been to, or explore these settings, or experience like these emotions. Like and I'm gonna be real here, you know. Obviously, there's character bleed or emotional bleed happens from character to player, but you can also grow attached to your characters, right? And when they die, it's so sad. But it also, you know, when that happens, I'm not saying it's necessarily a good thing or necessarily a bad thing. You know, sometimes it just happens. But you do lose something. Not necessarily something bad, but you feel that loss when you lose a character, especially if you played it for a long, long time. And that doesn't mean, like, obviously, if you've only been playing them for like a week, but like I was playing a character for like several months. I think like almost half a year when they died to bad dice rolls, and that was tough because I loved the character. But even like, but here's the other thing: you get to now in Scion 2nd Edition, and if you get up to the God level, to experience that yourself, but from the other side. Like, you're not gonna die. You're a god, you know, unless another god tries to fight you enough. But you're not gonna die. You're a god. You have to watch all these characters, these NPCs that you grew to love over the story die. And because you're a god in this setting, you have to watch. You have to watch them die. And I think that's also very sad. You know, like, it's... Yeah. A character is an investment, yeah. A character that sucks, but characters are a piece of the player, even only a very tiny piece. I agree. I do agree. Like, characters are a very, very tiny piece of a player. Like, there's something about this character that you really liked, and there might be a piece of you in it, right? So I think that's really neat. I'm not saying, obviously, put just a self-insert, but, like, say you're a very loud, a very, like, bombastic person, but let's say there's this aspect of you where you find, let's say you have a very grim sense of humor. So if you're this very loud person, this very extroverted person or whatever, you get the chance to play the quiet kid, right? I'm saying the quiet kid because that's what you would call them, but someone who's quiet and laid back. Or, here's a good example for me. In real life, I really I have a lot of anxiety. And I really like to think decisions through before I make them. Like, I want to be so careful, right? But I'm also the kind of person that when I do finally make a decision, after, like, all the anxiety and whatever I'm feeling, I commit to it. Because, you know, I'm not going to half-ass something I want to do. You know, if I really want something, I'm going to go for it, and I'm going to go for it with everything that I have. But I have to have all the information ahead of me. But in TTRPGs, I have a tendency to make very, as I'm sure Nerd Storyteller can tell you, as someone who has ran for me, my characters are very driven off of emotions. Because while the consequences are real for those characters, it's okay for me to be emotional and to be rash and to just lash out whenever I'm feeling something instead of, like, thinking it through. Which, of course, can still happen in real life because emotions are things. Yeah, 100% emotion. Exactly. Because I don't have to worry about the I mean, I do obviously have to worry about the consequences because I set them up. And I have to experience the consequences. But I get to experience living life as someone who doesn't have to deal with that anxiety and that thinking it out and has their heart on their sleeve. And it's just like, yeah, I'm going to run into this thing because I'm pissed. And I'm going to fight you because I'm pissed. Right? And it's fine. I mean, obviously, you know, there are consequences for the character. Usually not death. Obviously, sometimes death happens, which I've talked about. But, you know, like, I don't get to feel that freedom normally in real life because there's so much consequences to everything I do that, you know, being able to just let myself go and just make those decisions because my character is feeling pissed at something right now and wants to go beat them up. Damn the consequences. Like, actually, here's a very funny story from one of my TTRPG games. This isn't a Scion story, but this was so me and a group of people were playing a World of Darkness Exalted crossover game. So we were playing Exalt in the World of Darkness setting, which I'm sure Nerd has opinions on. But I was playing I believe I was an Infernal Exalted. And she met some vampires. She thought she was hot shit, and she told the prince to her face to fuck off and tried to fight the prince on her, like, I think that was like second scene that she was in. Wonderful character. She didn't last long, but she was so pissy. She had a little bit too much emotion. She had a little bit too much of the zest. The emotional zest was a bit, she was spicy. She was a bit spicy. But you know, that's the thing. Like, there's so much cool shit you can do with TTRPGs. Like, you can be the zest, or you can be here because, you know, and that's the thing. Like, being able to storytell collaboratively is so cool. And, you know, bringing it back to Scion, being able to storytell and have those moments and feel those losses and experience the beats of someone who's struggling with being a mythical, eventually, someone who's literally a person of legend. And that's so cool, right? Like being able to have legends made about your character in universe. Or like, let's say eventually you get popular enough and people hear enough about what you're doing, you can eventually literally get people like praying to you. And that's a whole experience for Scions, and that's not something you get. Also, I believe, again, I have not read it, but I believe when you're being prayed to, you can literally hear the prayers. At least, I think you can block them out if you want to, but you can hear them. Yeah, so imagining, now there's this, like, moment where, like, you're having a private moment or an intimate moment with someone you care about. And then suddenly you're like, hey God, can you help me with this? This problem I'm having. Like, that must not be fun. And the drawbacks of being a god. I wonder what kind of prayers Cthulhu gets. Never mind. This is not a thought process I should be going down. But yeah, like, it's so neat to me. I'm sorry. The idea of what prayers Cthulhu gets is so terrifying to me. Like, what do people who pray to Cthulhu in this setting? What do they get? What funky prayers are the cultists praying to Cthulhu? We don't talk about what players the other gods get? Oh, we don't talk about them? Why not? Let them just destroy the world of it. It'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Let them do their thing. I'm sure they're responsible because our brains will melt, Ghost. No, it won't melt. We have Old Man Henderson. We'll be fine. Listen, if Old Man Henderson can handle the fucking Cthulhu gods, we're fine. Also, for those who don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, there's a YouTube video called Old Man Henderson. It's pretty good. It's a pretty good story. You should listen to it. After this stream, you should listen to it. But no, seriously, like, I think because Scion is such a very special setting that you can explore these, you know, what it means to be a child of a god, or what it means to be literally created by a god. Like, what does that mean? And another thing that's really cool about this setting is that, like, you know, you get you get to a point where, like, there are also, like, mythical creatures just, like, roaming around in the world, which is neat. Like you could just run into a kappa, or, you know, like, whatever other myth. Like, you could run into a kitsune, just casually. Oh, hey, it's our local kitsune. That's me. I'm your local kitsune. Not yet, but eventually. Oh no, nerd. Oh no, nerd. What is this? Oh yeah, because I said, okay. I deserve that. Yeah, I deserve that, nerd. But what are some of your favorite experiences from TTRPGs? Because I think I've kind of covered most of what I want to say. Worship him? No, heart. I refuse. Make me worship him. How do you plan to do that? I'm interested in knowing. You will. Oh, you'll run Scion? When? When will you run Scion? First or second edition? I'm here for this. Nerd, don't make promises you can't keep. I'm so concerned. Don't be a child. What is that emote? 1 second. The kappa. Oh. I don't get to choose who I'm the child of. What I'm the child of. That's lame. Let me have player agency, coward. I didn't say make me. Yeah, make me. Yeah, make me worship the kappa. You won't. Oh my goodness. Okay. I think. Oh my goodness. Okay, but continuing on a bit. Oh my goodness. Okay, so here's I'm gonna make a deal with you guys, with chat. I'm gonna switch to playing a game. We can still talk about tabletop stuff, but I think we kind of covered what I want to talk about Scion 2nd Edition and why I think it's so special to me. We can still talk about tabletop stuff if you just want to shitpost or whatever, but I think I've kind of covered what I wanted to cover with Scion 2nd Edition. And I'm gonna go play a game of some kind. I'll still be streaming. I have about an hour and a half left in stream, so I'm gonna close all my fucking PDF tabs because I have so many of them. Do anyone have some game requests? Do we have any gamers in here? Do we have any gamers in the chat? Do we have any gamers in the chat? Let's see. Oh, you know what? No, I know exactly what I want to play. Oh, this is going to be interesting. I'm going to... Hold on. Hold on. One moment. I know exactly what I want to play. I just need to make sure I do a thing when I launch it. You might hear noise in the background. I'm setting up a game. I will switch to it as soon as it's ready. But yeah, no, I think Silent 2 is such a cool game, and I think it really is. It's very unique, and I do appreciate it as a game. I think it really brings out the best in you know what mythic storytelling can happen in TTRPGs. Let's see here. Fuck. Okay, come on, open up so I can shut off the online features, because I know this game isn't super secure online, and I'm gonna just shut it off. Go offline. One moment. We ballin', we gaming. But no, I think TTRPGs really do a lot for people, you know? Let me go to play offline. Play offline. And let me go to my menu and change something. Cool. Okay, might want to look into Dragonstar. I've never, you've mentioned it to me before, I believe, right? Like, I'm not going crazy. So I'm going to switch this over to the gaming thing, and I'll switch the game we're going to be playing real quick as well. Let's see here. Alright, let's see here. And I will switch to... here we are. Yeah, I know. 1 second. Yeah, cool. I'm just making sure I got this done. Cool. Okay, I've switched. Let's see here. Hold on. Cool. I'm sorry, I'm just setting up everything with the, and let's go to gaming. Are we going to be a gamer chat? Let's see here. Game capture. Here we are. And then we're going to switch to this one. Are we gaming? It looks like we're gaming. Yeah, it looks like we are indeed gaming. Okay, I did my setup right. That's like definitely a good thing that I got my setup right. So we're gonna be playing a open beta of a survival map. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how this goes. I just want to make sure that this doesn't like mess up the UI, the overlay. But do you have a favorite TTRPG nerd? Is there like any? Does anyone in the chat have any favorite TTRPGs that they've played, and want to experience? Any favorite systems? Like, well, what's up, chat? Oh, actually, I can bring up right now. There's actually a system I want to talk about on this channel, and I might soon. It's called Soulbound Dark Industrial Fantasy, and it's basically Bloodborne the TTRPG. I think that's very cool. I know there's like a StarCraft TTRPG that's fan-made. That was really cool. But it's so complicated. Oh my god, the math in that system. It's like very simulation, which is both good and bad depending on like what you want, you know? Like really, really like simulations and stuff. Like it's a bit crazy. Okay, that doesn't look like it. Hold on one moment. Here we are. There we are. Okay, perfect. The textures will load in a moment. Yeah, it's a tough question. Well, yeah, of course it's supposed to be a tough question. I want to know what y'all's favorite TTRPGs are while I'm murdering zombies. Hold on, let me kill some zombies. Okay, so for those of you who are just joining in or don't know, Slays, we just talked, I think, for about like an hour and a half about Scion 2nd Edition. And now we are moving on to playing some COD Zombies while also still keeping on the topic of tabletop RPGs. If any of y'all have like a favorite TTRPG you've ever played, let me know. I'd love to hear about it. And I think Nerd Storyteller right now is thinking of an answer to the question. Because it's hard to... Okay, do you want me to narrow it down for y'all? What's your favorite fantasy TTRPG? Could be high fantasy or could be low fantasy. You have too many answers? Well, figure it out, Forehead. Okay, well, at least we have this insta-kill, so I think if we can just get out of here... I mean, we have no points. Let's just go ahead and leave the best depot. I can talk. I think some of my favorite TTRPGs so far that I've played. Oh yeah, this is that I've played. I really like the World of Darkness TTRPGs. I think they're very fun. They're very unique. I think they have a very nice style in that they do some things, you know? They do some very unique things. I like the stories they can tell. I think Mage the Ascension, actually. Yes, Mage the Pretension. Uh, is one of my favorite. Though I think I also really like Werewolf the Apocalypse. That's a very fun game. I'm speaking about the 20th editions. I have opinions on 5th edition. I'm more okay about V5 than I'm more okay with V5 than the other 5th edition ones. Nerd is really rattling his little nerdy brain. I know why he called his brain little. The little nerdy brain is going burr. God, isn't it so long since I've played like a oh no, fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck. I'm so good. Your brain is little and smooth. Get wrinkly, forehead. Just make your brain wrinkly. It's that easy. Also, I would like to know what I got in the mystery box. Oh, nice. I got the Olympia. Wonderful. I'm glad I had enough points. The Tundra? Is this a sniper? Oh, it is a sniper. Cool. Barrel stuff the zombies with a sniper. Nothing could go wrong. Oh my goodness. Actually, speaking of zombies, I ran a game, a TTRPG, briefly, of All Zombies Must Die, or All Flesh Must Be Eaten. I don't know why I called it All Zombies Must Die. I ran a game of All Flesh Must Be Eaten, which is a great, like, arcadey zombie TTRPG, like, by default. But I homebrewed it so that it was using the COD Zombies lore. Because I'm a massive COD Zombies fan, and like I homebrewed in like the point system, I homebrewed in the mystery box and like everything. We only got through I think 2 maps. I think they played because I was going through them in order with them. So they played through Nocturne and Tolton, and they survived that. And then they went to Shinonuma. So it was a very interesting time. Is your brain too little and smooth to understand how great the Call of Duty Zombies TTRPG that I homebrewed was? Oh my god, a PPSH. Okay, well this better be good because it is a PPSH. If the PPSH is not good, I will be... Okay, I mean, it's okay. Sorry, because the World at War PPSH is amazing. It's a PP. I like my PPSH. I'm gonna get clipped with that, aren't I? Yeah, I've accepted my fate. Oh boy. Thanks. Thank you, nerd. I appreciate you clipping me. I know if you were here, you would have clipped it when I said I could take 6 orcs in relationship to the 6 orc armies in the other VOD. I believe you should watch that today. But yeah, I don't know. I also really enjoy, like, I think the D10 system of Vampire the Masquerade and other White Wolf games is very fun. I do think here's the thing. I think the hunger or the alternate dice mechanic that V5 has is a fun mechanic. I think it was a good idea. I like it. I just wish you had more hunger as a vampire, especially as you got older. I know V5 is not designed to handle like that kind of stuff, but it's really neat. Since the general topic is Scion 2nd edition, or at least it was when I was talking more in depth about the TTRPG, I think that Scion 2nd edition, I ran a game. It was really cool. I actually ran some Mayan gods, or a Mayan god in specific, before before they were officially added. I had someone who really wanted to be child of Amuzinkob, which is the Mayan bee god. They got the bee puns. But yeah, that was fun. That was really, really fun. I don't know. I had someone who was like a kid of Hades who was born from a pomegranate, and their character's name was Rhodey, and Rhodey had a hellhound as a pet. That was fun. Just like with the grippy socks. Okay, sorry, I have to explain. So the character I ran, the character's name was Rhodey, like pomegranate in Greek, I think is how the name was basically what it was supposed to be. But Rhodey he was like he was like an alt kid, but he had this little dog which was named Styx, like the river Styx, and they were a hellhound, and the hellhound there was this thing that happened. I can't remember what the scenario was, but they gave their dog little grippy socks so they wouldn't slide down the stairs, and that was so cute. It was so cute, just making sure they would always bring it up, like, oh, we need to get 6 new grippy socks. It was so cute. I also actually I don't know if I told this to Nerd, so I did do a semi-continuation of that, but that was in Ghost doing bullshit. For those who don't know, in TTRPGs, I tend to do some, I tend to be a bit funky when I'm running. I do some funky things. Like 11. Your favorite Nerd, right? You like 11? I feel rage coming. I know they haven't typed anything yet on my end, but I can feel the rage of me mentioning 11. Not a bit funky understatement. Nah, it's just a little funky. A little funky. I'm just a funky little storyteller. I do some funky things and make some things happen. Things happen. They're a little funky. What's wrong? What's wrong with me letting people play the Bali? They are a modified version of the Bali in BDM, but they're just little funkies. Also, I would absolutely one day want to run in Scion a group of Titanic Scions, because that would just be fun. I want to watch them fuck shit up. But then what if they decide to be good, which would, defeat the point? But it's fine. They can do that. I don't care. It's like running a Sabbat game. You never know. A Sabbat game is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. You really don't. And that's what I like about it. It gets a bit funky. Don't think those two things are the same, Ghost. No. Nah, I think a Titanic Scion game and a Sabbat game could get close, depending on what powers the Titanic Scions have. You don't know. Listen, it's fine. What's wrong? They both use a D10 dice pool system. I think they can be at least a little compared. A little bit of comparison is a treat, right? I can compare things as a treat. But, I don't know. I do think they're the same, actually, though. Please explain to me why they're not the same. Fuck, teddy bear. Oh, fuck. I think the game doesn't like me because I try to say things are the same. Oh, no. Oh, hey, there's not that many zombies left. I think I might be at the end of the round. Okay, that's good. Oh, I am not at the end of the round. Oh, fuck me. Oh, this is bad. Oh, I don't know if I can get out of here. Maybe? Wait, maybe? Train the zombies? Okay, we're doing it. Okay. Okay. We're gaming. We're gaming. We're gaming. Oh, I'm not gaming. I was not gaming. But it's fine. I have my infinite use giant clip exploding pistols that don't hurt me while I'm down, so it's fine. COD Zombies is a mess, but it's my mess. I know too much about the lore of this series. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm just there. I got like flashbacks mentally there, thinking about the lore. TM. Yeah, is there a double tap? On one hand, you have phenomenal cosmic powers from beings that have unimaginable strength that can crush gods. On the other hand, you have creatures that die horribly if you leave the curtains open. Well, hear me out though. There was a homebrew where it was vampire gods, so that's like similar, right? I mean, listen, if you really wanted to, I don't think it'd be that difficult to homebrew in the 10 vampiric like the antediluvians as gods. I would argue Setuk in the Egyptian Set, which I know is already a god in Scion, but I would argue that yes. What I would argue that the Egyptian god set in this setting, assuming that the Vampire the Masquerade Antediluvians are gods, would be one of the more powerful ones. Do what? Don't make you do what? What's wrong with me talking about Daddy Set? Am I not allowed to proselytize the good word? Is this the thing I'm not allowed to do, nerd? And if not, why? And what would I be making you do? What is this that I would be making you do, huh? I'm worried, guys. I'm concerned. What is nerd cooking? I am personal friends with nerds, so I don't know what I'm cooking, what they're cooking. I'm a little afraid. Why do I keep getting the M2 carbine? I don't want the M2 carbine. Ah! Okay, death machine? Okay. But no, making me create a pantheon of antediluvians? I mean, if I could be a scion of the antediluvian aspect of set, I wouldn't be unhappy. Listen, I like my Setites. I like my snaky lads. To be fair, hypothetically, it wouldn't be too hard to make Gaia or the other, or the Triad either in Scion 2nd Edition. If you really want to do like a World of Darkness and Scion crossover, it wouldn't be impossible. That would just make the world, the Wild, the Weaver, and the Worm, like, well, they're real in World of Darkness, but it would make them real in Scion as well. Wait, actually, you could have... Well, no, I don't think the tryout would be that difficult. Sure, they would have a lot of, like, stuff. I don't think you could do the Umbra. Or you could, but it'd be difficult. But... it's possible. Listen, yes, they are all insane. But hear me out. You could have the Triad, or you could have the Worm duke it out with Cthulhu, and isn't that cool? I want to see the Triad. I want to see the Worm and Cthulhu, like, fight each other. I want to see how good the Worm really is. Can the Worm beat Cthulhu? Fuck. I'm so good at this game. I just want to know if the Worm from World of Darkness could beat Cthulhu. Why not? Why can't we do the Pacific Rim stuff? Would they fight, though, Cthulhu? Well, I don't think they... I think they'd both be considered Titans. I don't know. I haven't purchased the book, Masks of the Mythos. So I don't know what Cthulhu is considered. But I would assume all of the Cthulhu books, or all the Cthulhus, would be considered Titanic gods, or like just a pantheon of Titanic gods. Because they're kind of spooky, my guys. It's a little spooky. Not gonna lie. I'm just looking to see what I want to do. Let's go back to the. But I do think it'd be kind of crazy, right? I'm just setting an alarm right now to change, just to make sure I know when it's time to head out. But I think it'd be possible. I think it'd be funny. But like, here's the other thing. I want to see like fucking World of Darkness Gaia like fight. Like, wouldn't it be cool to see fucking Gaia like a god battle arena? Like, just imagine that. You have oh my god, it's Misty. I'm playing Misty. Yes, sorry. I have listen, I like Misty. Gaia's not a fighter, that's why she made the Garu. Well, no, I got distracted by your comment and I died. No, Misty died. No. I didn't even get to talk about why I liked Misty. Anyways. I mean, I think Gaia could fight if she really wanted to. I mean, she made the Garu, so it'd be possible, I would argue, for Gaia to fight. Like, listen, hear me out. I want to see the Weaver, like, oh, she absolutely could, but I don't think she would. That's fair. But I want to see, like, the Weaver, like, fight some of the Titanic Scions. Because they're actually, I think the Weaver would go more insane in this universe because the universe will retcon itself constantly. And she just will hate that. I think the Weaver would absolutely hate that. Like the Weaver in a universe where the universe will retcon itself and fate is like a force that they can't resist, I think would absolutely go even more insane than they already are. Like, I don't want to see the Weaver in Scion. That's terrifying because the Weaver's already terrifying. Speaking of, did I mention I had a Weaver mage at one point that was like actively working with the Weaver that I ran? Anyways, yes, I do mean directly with the Weaver. Like the Weaver was their avatar. Anyways, moving on. It's fine. Nothing crazy's happening here. I'm just killing some zombies. Too many gods, too many gods, too many gods. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, to be fair, there's quite a few gods in World of Darkness. Because, like, World of Darkness, there are gods. Like, there's still quite a few gods. Well, I mean, at least if we're going with the mage, the Ascension logic, right? I still want to see. Listen, if you do actually end up running Scion, nerd, let me know. I will eat that shit up. What? But listen, there is like a sense of logic, though. I don't know where I was going with that. There's no. Listen, I'm not of the Weaver. I'm just a little anime girl. Actually, would you argue that VTubers are more Weaver or Worm, nerd? Like, what? Where do VTubers align in the triad? No comment. Does it depend on the VTuber? Cause I could argue VTubers are like rust spiders. Like they're like, I think VTubers definitely have an element of wormishness to them. Cause like Black Spiral Dancers, are okay with cities, so I think they'd be okay with the internet and VTubers, right? If evil, then why hot, nerd? I don't know why I'm just saying shit now. I just don't know enough about VTubers. The ones I've seen are absolutely chaotic. I can't be sure if that's the whole of the community. Okay, so I would argue, okay, so there's two different, like, not, I wouldn't say kinds, because that's not true. In the VTuber community, I know a little bit about the community. I'm not able to speak on the community as a whole because I've not been in it for super long. But some of them are, there is definitely like a category, basically. So imagine VTubers are on kind of like a scale. And it's like a sliding scale of what's called, again, VTubers originated in Japan, so it's Japanese terms. But it's kind of like on a sliding scale of like say so and unsay so. Where say so is like what you kind of is more kid friendly. It's very like it means clean and pure. So they don't really talk about they wouldn't talk about sexual content. They're very clean, very innocent, right? And then on the opposite side would be like unsay so. So you get like lewd tubers, which are a thing. They're like just VTubers who do more lewdish content, and that kind of stuff. So like it's definitely a sliding scale. And there are like a lot of VTubers out there. Like I don't know all of the VTubers, though. I think it'd be interesting. I definitely think like if VTubers in this hypothetical, in the world of darkness, I would argue that they are weaverish at first, or sorry, yeah, they're weaverish at first, but as they start doing more and more lewd content, they become more wormish. Maybe. I think that could work. God, this is one. This is one of the conversations of all time. No, now I want to make a. I mean, I almost did already do that. I'm not gonna say that because I almost did do that. I was gonna say I want to make a VTuber mage, but I kind of already did that. Not exactly. I did make a Magic the Gathering mage though, and Mage the Ascension. That was fun. But yeah, I think there's a lot that you can do with you know, video games and video games. I'm playing a video game, that's why I said video game. But I think there's a lot you can do in TTRPGs in general. You know, I think there's a lot that can be said about like, because I like how listen, I did say I think about D&D earlier that like, you know, there is a point where you need to find a new system, but there's also fun in homebrewing it. So like you do you, boo. I don't want to yuck your yum. Like I get not wanting to learn a new system, but new system fun though. Listen, I'm just young enough to where I'm okay like going through 50 systems in a week and it's fine. That character was bonkers? Yeah. Vixer Valentine from New Capenna. I loved her. She was one of my favorite characters I played. I also really liked how she did magic. Because obviously she had to incorporate the land, so I did. But it was a lot of fun. And she didn't just use cards. I like how she made it practical. And how she could like hide some of her... Sami's playing Guilty Gear Strive. Sorry, that just popped up on my screen. I'm not gonna say it. But if they're a Bridget main, sorry. It's just one of my friends. I apologize. But yeah, I think it'll be a lot of fun overall. I think TTRPGs are really a great thing, and I really enjoy the experiences you can have in them. You know. As for video games, I enjoy being attacked by zombies apparently because I really like I like the zombies. The zombies. The zombies. Okay. I don't know what came over me there. It's fine. I'm undead too, though, so it should be fine. Don't clip that, nerd. I don't think I want people to see me just zombies-ing them. That's I'm making it worse, aren't I? Well, fuck it. Well, fuck it. I have an AK and I'm not afraid to use it on zombies. By the way, nerd, is the I'm making it worse? Is the audio working, by the way, in the game for you? Is the video working? I thought the video was working. I didn't check the audio because I'm a good I'm a professional VTuber, guys. It's quiet, but you can hear it. That's good enough. I don't want it to overpower me, so that's fine if it's quiet. Oh fuck. Yes, I have the stoner. A weapon I'm sure nerd is very familiar with. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm causing problems. And that's really what it means. Nerd, how many problems do I cause? Am I causing enough problems for you? Does Madison cause enough problems for you? I cause all problems? I'm glad I can be the source of problems for you. I'm just a little problem maker. But you like figuring out my problems and how people react to them. Or you wouldn't continue to storytell for me. Please tell me you like me. That you like me causing problems. Wait, do you not like me causing problems? Nerd. Nerd. Please. I'm a good player, right? Nerd. Sit in your own nerd! No! Don't make me do this. You're I need to know. Fuck. Oh, I want you to clip that. What the fuck just happened? I feel like I'm gonna perish. Nerd, I'm scared. Nerd, please. Nerd. Nerd. I don't want to die, nerd. Nerd. Oh no, I'm dead. I'm not dead. I'm getting quick revive. You need a little revive. Bum, ba, ba, dum, bum, yeah. Sorry. Shoot zombies better and you won't die. But what if I'm not good at shooting zombies? What if the zombies are too powerful for me? Did you consider that, nerd? Oh shit. Oh fuck. Oh shit. Shooting zombies. Okay, I don't know why. Why am I saying zombie? Oh, I can't stop. Okay. I think my voice squeaked there. I'm gonna stop saying zombies like that. It's like just something possesses me. Which is weird. Well, is it? Fuck. I mean, I do have a fox part of me. My soul is part fox. Maybe it's the fox part, not being okay with the zombies. I'm gonna shut up now. Fuck. AK reload. AK reload. Fuck. I'm a pro gamer, guys. That's why I'm using the AK-74U on round 8. I'm a pro gamer. MLG pro. Elite hacker man, dude. What am I doing with my life? Where I got to the point where I said that. Where I said I'm an MLG pro elite hacker man, dude. That's... I think I should just end it there. Like, I think that's... I don't think I can recover from that. And, have you reached a new low with that statement? I mean, I play Misty, so probably not. I'm sure I'll come up with a new statement that's worse eventually. I know myself. Oh, fuck. Good point. Because Lunars deserve respect. I'm glad you agree. Lol, no. Yes, they do. Why don't Lunar Exalted deserve respect, nerd? Tell me. Give me a good reason. Fuck, I'm out of revives. Oh no, this is bad. Where the fuck is the mystery box? Okay, I thought it said... Oh, fuck. What the fuck? There's no way this is a dog round. It's only round 10. Twitch only allows so many characters in a single entry. You can't? You can't what? You can't explain why Lunars don't deserve respect? That's... I think you're just not trying hard enough. Correct. I'm glad you agree you're not trying hard enough. Oh, shoot. Oh, fuck. This is a 3-round burst. I made a mistake by existing. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Okay. But no, I think TTRPGs are very special. They're a very fun medium, and I think they can let you explore things that you enjoy or learn new things that you enjoy and let you kill zombies. I know there are TTRPGs that let you kill zombies. Actually, speaking of TTRPGs that let you kill zombies, I know fucking... Is it Free Radical? No, that's a video game company. That's not a TTRPG. Cubicle 7, I think, released a Walking Dead TTRPG. I think I've been told that like you can remove a lot of the Walking Dead aspects of it, and it's a really good just generic zombie TTRPG. So that could be interesting. I've only really played All Flesh Must Be Eaten though, so I can't really speak on how good exactly that particular TTRPG is. But I have heard good things. So that is certainly a thing. Oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck. Oh fuck, oh fuck. The brown... Why is there a Browning automatic rifle? Okay. I don't know why I also said the full name of the bar. But I did. Now, okay, Zambi. Okay, I can get past you on the stairs. That's good. Okay, we're gaming. But yeah, I don't know. I think there's just something special about the medium of TTRPGs as a whole that makes them stand apart from other mediums. Like, sure, video games are interactive, but I don't think they hold that same spunk, that same pizzazz, that same wabow, that same wabam as TTRPGs. There's something about hanging out with friends in a voice call or in real life, rolling dice and making a story. What's your favorite, what game do you think produces the best stories, nerd, in your opinion? Or anyone in chat in general, to be fair. Does anyone have a game you think produces really interesting stories? Oh no, I'm being murdered by the wetness. I realized what I said as soon as I said it, and I can't take it back. There's a reason why the medium that has existed for so long, RPGs offer a degree of freedom that you just don't get elsewhere. Yeah, I agree. Now, I will say on the development side, there's probably a lot more freedom, but I do know there's still limitations to making video games as well. So I'm not going to say, like, it's infinite freedom making a video game. But it is still neat that you can make video games. Fuck. Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. That you can make video games. But I do agree that TTRPGs just allow for a degree of freedom that you don't see in other mediums. Like, in the degrees of freedom, I think, you know, you have, like, pictures, which is a still image, right? At the, like, least degrees of freedom. Because with pictures, you can't really change anything. It's just a single moment, like, forever, right? I would say then you have, like, movies, right? Where the movies are, like, moving, and as you're making them, you can make changes, or you can re-edit the movies, right? Then you have video games, which allows for a lot more interaction between the medium and the player. But then there's TTRPGs, which I think just allows, like, a whole different birth of, a whole different birth of freedom with the medium. Right, and, like, TTRPGs spun off from, like, war games originally, and, like, I'm a big Warhammer 40k fan, so I definitely get, like, why war games are fun. But there's a difference between, like, war games and TTRPGs. You know? Like I think, Baldur's Gate 3 and the Baldur's Gate games in general are actually really good examples of the limitations of video games versus TTRPGs. Sure, Baldur's Gate 3 will account for a lot of what can happen, but I don't think it can account for everything. War games are crunchy, but I like my crunch, so... Like, I played Night Haunt in Age of Sigmar because I mean, it's in the name of the channel. But I play Necrons in 40k. I think I have a theme of what factions I like in war games. Because in the old world, I like the I might be a Tomb Kings or Vampire Counts enjoyer in the old world. You're far too smooth-brained to play anything that involves strategy. If you can plot out a whole fucking campaign, you can play a war game. I don't think that's a stretch. Fuck. Oh fuck. Two very different things? I don't think so. Maybe I'm just dumb. It could just be possible that the ghost is the dumb. I could be the dumb and just be, like, comparing two things that are just not at all the same. Because, like, I do think that, like, I don't know, I love strategy games. I've always loved strategy games. I think strategy games are great. That's, I think also why I enjoy battle maps in TTRPGs, even though I understand why, like, I think battle maps have a positive and negative in TTRPGs. I definitely like Theater of the Mind a lot, but I do see the benefit of battle maps for people who want them. It's just two different styles of play, you know? You love you a good battle map? What's your favorite, no, do you like, flat battle maps? Or do you prefer, like 3D battle maps? Like with, models and stuff. Taking a sip of my drink. Because those are also two very different styles of battle maps. You know? Not all battle maps are the same. Some battle maps are constructed differently. Hey, I'm gaming. And murdering zombies. Both. Then again, I am older. The battle maps are made with pencil and graph paper with a heavy dip of theater of the mind. That's fair. That's totally fair. I mean, I've seen battle maps like that. But I've also seen battle maps where, like, it's much more detailed, you know? So it just depends on the style you're looking for battle map-wise in TTRPGs. I definitely think it's, like, you know, there can be a good mix there. And I like that a lot. You know, just how much mix there can be with battle maps. I can hit a zombie, I swear. I'm so good at hitting zombies, guys. With my knife, even. Hey, I have a question. When you go to the theater of the mind, what theater do you go to? What theater do you enjoy going to in Theater of the Mind? With TTRPGs, nerd. Do you have a preferred theater? What's your mind theater look like, nerd? What's the mind theater? Tell me about the mind theater. I don't know why the mind theater is a thing that came out of this discussion today, but the mind theater. An Art Deco theater space filled with snacks? That sounds so fun. That does sound very fun. I think an Art Deco mind theater is very fun. I think my mind theater is like, there's one in the city you're at that's gorgeous. That's great. I've never seen an Art Deco like theater before. I think that would look really cool. Or at least not in real life. Like conceptually I know what that might look like, but I bet it is gorgeous. In my mind, I think my mind theater is almost like a super fancy like in-home home studio where I'm watching the TTRPG unfold even though I can't create mental images. That's like the concept of what I would like, you know? Like I would want it to be cozy while I'm watching my favorite TV series. For those who don't know the term, it's aphantasia, and I'm like 90% sure I have it because I can't fucking like. People's like, imagine you're at the beach or whatever, and I can't fucking imagine shit. It's just blackness. And yet I run TTRPGs. Don't ask how it happens. Also, because I have aphantasia, when I get a song stuck in my head, I don't hear the music. I just like think the lyrics in tempo. I don't hear the music at all. So it's like my song getting stuck in my head is like karaoke, except like again, it's just the words. It's not even it's just the words to the beat. That's what my my mind music palace is. I can only really imagine the music or hear the music when I'm actually listening to it. Like that's pretty crazy, right? Like I've been like, oh yeah, whenever I get a song stuck in my head, I can like physically hear it, and I'm like, that's fucking insane. I just get the lyrics in time with the beat in my head. What's your what's I know you have a very strong imagination, nerd, but if anyone else wants to say anything, what are y'all's imagines like? How strong of an imagination do y'all have? What is imagination? How does one imagine? How does one nation even? What is a nation? What concepts are we providing to people as a society? I know these questions. An imagination is the reason for life. I don't have that shit. I'm joking. I mean, like, here's the thing. I have a vivid imagination. Like, I can come up with shit. And I can keep shit in my brain, but I don't physically see shit. That's why I like commissioning artists for stuff, because it lets me see shit that's in my head, but like actually see it instead of like just a vague idea of what I want to see. You know? Like I have a vague idea of something, of like what it looks like in my head, but I can't like picture it properly. Like I can know, oh, I want this here, I want this here, this here, but I don't know what it looks like together. You know? And that's kind of sad. Like, but I still love TTRPGs. Like, even like, you still get to experience it. I think the battle maps for me help visualizing, because I'm a visual person, which sucks as a creative, because I can't visualize shit. Like, physically visualize it, which sucks. Taking a sippy sip of the drinky drink. Anyways, I definitely think imagination's pretty cool. I would say, of all the things humans can do, imagination is pretty chill. I vibe with imagination. I don't know what the fuck I'm saying anymore. What even is life? What even is life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness? Not a thing I know. Ooh, PhD Flopper? Sure. I fuck with PhD Flopper. The song for PhD Flopper is so good. When you dive to prone, it's gonna shake you to the bone. All the zombies gonna groan 'cause of PhD Flopper. Damn straight. It's such a good song. I like music. If things go well for me and doing the VTube bullshit, I would like to cover songs. That would be fun. I like my music. Music make the brain go brrr. Though, I probably shouldn't say this on stream. So, but I am, fuck it. So if I keep doing well stream wise, and if I continue streaming and I start to kick off to do things well, right? I would want to eventually do song covers, but I think I talked with some friends of mine today, and once I'm able to get subscribers on Twitch, if I get to 100 active subscribers on Twitch, I will do a cover of Hit Them With This Furry Shit by Decooters, and I'll get it animated too. That's a thing that I will put out onto the internet if I get 100 Twitch subscribers when I'm able to get subscribers. And now that I've said that, I know people are going to keep me to it, especially if someone clips this. So if you want to see me, to see me recreate the Decooters about to hit them with this furry shit rap, that's my conditions. Those are my terms. The challenge has been laid bare. I have set the conditions for what it takes to let me be making a fool of. To what it takes for me making a fool of myself on the internet forever. I say that by making a fool of myself on the internet forever as a part of this, as a part of VTubing, so I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. But I think that's just another level of commitment to the bit, right? That I just don't currently have. But I say that, and I have gone on record in saying that if I get that many subscribers, I will do hit them with that furry shit. So maybe I do have that level of commitment. Fuck. Zombies. Why? Fuck, I'm dead. I don't know what noises I was making. anyways, I think that's a good way to end this stream. I'm gonna start winding down. I'm gonna head back to just chatting. Let me just do my thing. Nah, it was a very normal brain glitch, guys. It was a very normal and acceptable brain glitch. Have you never had a brain glitch such as the one I have just had? Have you never experienced that? But I do want to say, my friends, my lovely little monsters, and that is actually my alarm telling me that it's time to get off stream. But hello, my little monsters. Thank you all so much for coming out this evening. I truly appreciate each and every one of you who was able to make it out this evening. You all have a wonderful evening, and I will see you another time. Thank you all so much for joining me. Until next time we see you in the graveyard, I'm glad you enjoyed it, Nerd Storyteller. Bye now.